Sure, we can animate a car on a flat plane really well, but how do we animate a motorcycle with realistic banking? Well, in this section, section 7, we're going to use a dynamics expression to automatically control the bank rotation. We'll also discover a better way than the velocity graph to smooth out that motion. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's open that last thing we worked on. Go to File, Load Scene, and it's not car turn, it's actually car on the DVD. So select the car.lws scene and we'll load that up. We're going to use the car turn motion to save time. We're just going to substitute a motorcycle in for the car and then activate the banking expression. Okay, so let's make sure the car is selected. We go to Objects, Honda, and we want to go to Items, Replace, Replace with Object, and go to Fat Boy. This is a cool motorcycle that's a royalty-free object that's included with Lightwave 8. Another reason to buy Lightwave 8 if you don't have it. Okay, now we're going to use a dynamic expression to control the banking. Now don't get all freaked out. I've done the math so you don't have to. Let's select the null. Okay, and hit Control F2 to bring up the graph editor. Okay, select the Expressions tab, go to Expressions, Load Library, and go to Vehicles. And you see this file here called Expressions Vehicle Dynamics. Let's click on that. Okay, they've been loaded up now. Now if we open these up, we can see we have a bunch of these things down here which we have no idea what they are yet, but don't worry about that yet. Okay, let's select the null's banking channel, which is rotation bank. Okay, and let's go to expressions and go down till we hit, you can probably not, maybe not see it on here. It says bank expression cycle and copter. We're going to select that and we're going to hit apply. Now what in the heck happened? Let's zoom in on this a little bit. It's kind of hard to see because blue is not a very visible color and it's dotted. Let's see what we got here though. Now this is how the bank is currently looking. Let's minimize this and we'll play it, see what we get here. Hey, pretty cool. It's not real smooth, but something's going on here. That's kind of neat. This is very similar to the heading constraint. It's just a different way of doing it, but we're using expressions to do this. We're going to need to smooth this out, smooth out the motion a little bit to fix what's going on. Let's hit pause and go back to our graph editor here for a second. Well, how does that thing work anyway? Well, look down here. You see this weird gobbledygook of equations down here. You got a value equals negative, what is that? 60,000 times something, 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 something. Basically what I did is I programmed in bank to, for the thing to bank depending on how fast it's going, which comes from Vmag down here. Don't worry about what this is. And how fast it's turning, which is what this gunk over here is. You don't have to worry about that. Just know that if you want to do something like this to put into your animation, you've got to load up the expression library and you've got to attach it onto something called null, N-U-L-L, and it works fine. I've got the name null hotwired in here, so you have to use that name. But if you wanted to change the amount of banking, we can just go in here and take this down to say 3, hit enter. You see on our graph editor here, it's gone down, and we can change it to, we can change the, take the negative out and make it bank the other way, but let's take it back to negative 6,000 times that. Okay? Again, you can always use this expression as long as you parent your object to a null named null. And again, the motorcycle could be going uphill or downhill. It doesn't make any difference. The bank expression should still work fine. Okay, we smoothed out our motion in the last example, but it's still not smooth enough. That's why we're getting that pop in the bank expression, and it's not starting smoothly there. It's not smooth there, and it's not smooth at the end. Let me show you what I mean by not being smooth enough. Let's click on the X channel. Okay, that looks great, right? But let's look at it a different way. Okay, let's click on the Scale X channel. We're going to use this like a dummy channel. We're temporarily going to assign an expression to it to look at something else. Okay, we've got that on there. We've got it on Scale X. Let's go to the View Keyed Acceleration X expression and hit Apply. Now what in the heck did that just do? Hit Control Select on the X channel and let's look at these two. We can figure out what we have here now in a second. Okay. Okay, the solid line, red line up here, is what we actually have keyed, and this weird dotted line here is the acceleration. What we've done is we've attached a acceleration expression onto the Scale X channel to view the acceleration of the X position. That sounds weird, but it's going to let us smooth out our graph even more. Okay, we're going to wind up with better looking motion, and the bank expression is going to work better because of it. Okay, this looks like it's maybe the culprit down here. Let's just right click that. Now to edit that, we've got to go back to the curve section. Let's increase the tension a little bit, and that looks a lot better all of a sudden. Let's go over here, increase the tension that way. That looks pretty good. Let's zoom in on what we have here. We're going to put this part in the middle of our graph. Zoom way in, that looks pretty good. And let's zoom in on this part down here, so put that in the middle of the graph. And zoom in. That's okay. Let's check the bias a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. Cool. So what we've done is we've smoothed out our motion graph even more by using, instead of the velocity graph, by attaching an acceleration expression, which shows what our keyframe's acceleration is. We've used that to smooth out the TCB settings, the tension, continuity, and bias settings of our motion graph even more. Let's do the same thing for the Z direction now. Okay, so to do that, we've got to remove this expression from the Scale X channel, hit remove. Let's put another one on there. Let's go to expressions, view keyed acceleration Z, and hit apply. Okay, and then now let's also simultaneously look at the Z channel, and we can look at these together. Yeah, see, this is maybe a little harder to fix. Let's see if we can get down there. Okay, let's look at frame 60 and 90 first and see what we can do to fix those. Let's go to 60. And we need to go back to the curves tab to change those. And let's decrease the tension a little bit. And let's do the same thing on 90. See if we can. Yeah, that looks better. And I think this looked kind of weird over here too. Yeah. Let's go here, increase the tension. Okay. Let's see if we can fix this here too. We might not be able to touch that. That's not going to do squat. Let's go ahead and hit put that back to 0 and look at this again. Now we've edited some of these, but we still have problems here. It looks better, but our acceleration graph is still not what we want it to be. The worst spot is maybe right here on frame 90, so let's go select 90 again. Frame 90 and zoom in on what we have here. Okay, let's try changing the tension again. We're at 0.105. That's too much. Let's try. Okay, are we headed in the wrong direction? I think we are. Let's make this thing bigger. 08, better. 13, better. There we go. Looks much better. It's kind of weird right in there. Let's zoom in on that spot. And this seems like it's a lot of work, but it's really not to get good motion. Let's see if changing the bias helps a little bit. There we go. And let's just look at that. We could fix that a tad. Let's zoom in there. It's really delicate bias. Let's take it down to negative point 0.003. That looks pretty good. Now we've affected these two spots again. Let's tweak these again. Now, again, it's going to be impossible to get them all perfectly, but each time we put another pass of tweak through, it should get a little more accurate, a little smoother. Okay, at frame 120. Okay, I bet that's going to look pretty good. Yeah. Let's zoom in and look at the acceleration graph here. And again, this is the acceleration graph for the Z motion, because we're looking at the scale X channel, but we've applied an expression to it that shows us, just like the graph, the velocity graph, it shows us the acceleration graph of the X channel's acceleration. Okay, that's much better. Okay, let's remove this expression. Well, before we do that, let me just show you what that does to your, yeah, look at this funkiness going on. If we left it on there, it does weird and wild and crazy things. So let's not leave it on there, because we're just using it temporarily. Let's take that off, just hit remove. Okay, let's look at the bank expression now. This looks a lot better. It's not perfect, you see, but it's still a little abrupt there, but now it's a lot smoother there. There's a little elbow, little kink there, but it looks a lot better than it did. Now let's actually animate the thing and see what it looks like. Or not animate it, but press play. Okay. That's a lot smoother. If that wasn't smooth enough, we could smooth out the graphs even more to get the bank expression to work a little better. Or we could just use our bank expression as a reference and actually keyframe in the bank. That would work too. Okay. And we can just leave this playing, I guess. Now, I want to clarify that we can use these techniques on animation paths that are much more intricate than what we've used here. The acceleration graph just needs to look decent, seem to make sense to you. You can have as little amount of keys or as many as you want. You just want everything to be smooth. Getting the acceleration curves to look good is the whole trick. It may take a bit of effort to accomplish it, but you'll wind up with much better results. In this example, we learned how to add realistic banking to our motorcycle animation and how to smooth out our vehicle motion even more. Also, I want you to realize that we could have used this technique as a secondary motion for other types of vehicles, like we could have given our car chassis from the last section just a hint of bank as it cornered. In the next section, we're going to get a little more ambitious and discover how to animate a believable helicopter. Okay?